Hello, guys. I cut that song early. You guys know me. Sometimes I feel like I want to hear something, but then I just can't. I'm very picky on my music. But how we feeling tonight? Hopefully all is well. Small crowd these days. Feel like we get a lot of interest in the markets in waves. A lot less people watch it live, of course. A lot more people are here on YouTube. It's still surprising now, where sometimes we used to get over 20 people. I now see you two, but I'm glad to be of service nonetheless. How we feeling? Hopefully, you guys had a great trading day. Rough day, rough day. All right. I'm not gonna blame you guys for anything, right? Of course, we're gonna review as we always do, but definitely an easier day for me as we discussed for because of yesterday, right? So, what did we discuss on for yesterday? Forming a swing point on the higher time frame. And when we want to see a formation of a swing point, right? What do we mean by a swing point? It's a 3-bar swing, right? So having the low on the left, if we're talking about a swing low, right? Having the low of the left be higher, the low on the right be higher. That forms what we like to call a swing low, a swing point, right? So within that daily fair value gap, that daily inefficiency, we swept liquidity, formed what seemed to be a swing because we had a reversal on that day. So on the next day after reversal, what do we want to see, right? We want to see continuation with a clear objective like previous week's high. So for me, it was a very classic bullish day, and so I was only looking for longs. Now, what does that look like on the lower time frame, right? And I will remove previous week high and low because, well, no, I won't remove it actually. Let me just do something here. I want to remove the lines we did for FOMC. As you can see, not prepared today. Not prepared compared to usually. But what do we see? Well, of course, we see a successful London framework. So that's very nice to see. But it's right at 9:30. So we had opportunities to short up until London low. At least that's where I personally was interested. I saw a very clear framework of a high probability low of day forming at the start of the day, especially with the price action from Asia expanding so far away from this low as well. This to me was not to be revisited. And what I mean by this are these lows, right? So I was not looking for us to return to these prices at all for the day. And so I was bullish, right? What do we expect at New York Open? A retracement into continuation. This is a big move. It was a big retracement. Sometimes we're going to do a tiny move. Sometimes we're going to do quite a sizable move, like in this case today. Let me remove the AM sessions. I don't need unnecessary lines. London framework gave us opportunities to short. We'll go look at it. And Asia was not looking for Asian lows to be revisited once again due to these lows. So what does that leave for us, right? Well, I'm looking for basically a move lower at the open to then trade higher. We return into a discount of our daily range, right? More importantly, I like to use OTE in cases like these, and this is reversed. So let's reverse it. Well, this is not reversed. And as you can see, we retrace to those OTE areas, closed above. Very nice price action. Truth is, I would have just been looking for a long at any given time. It gave me a setup. So that's what we'll go look for on a 1-minute chart. 9:30 marks the start. What was the news today again? Wasn't it? I think it was unemployment claims, but I want to yeah, unemployment claims. Also, a surprise Trump speech at 10 a.m., but that was not in news before. So I don't want us to. How can I say this? It's easier to look at it as if it wasn't a news, but it was a last-minute Trump speech at 10 a.m., which gave us some pretty sideways price action leading to a later long compared to what we should have seen, which is a 10 a.m. reversal. This is how I like to think about the markets, right? We had a sudden news change, so we had to adjust, right? We had to engineer more liquidity and that leads to a 1050 to 1110 reversal, right? And as we know, what is the job of that macro? To spool against profitable AM traders, which in this case, up to now, would have been short. So for me, it was a very clear framework to look for longs after the short. Now, I did not even consider this live, but was there a short opportunity at the open? So this is 930 right here. I mean, there I do see the bearish breakers, right? Very clearly. And you could say, well, I mean, the obvious clear entry would be from this, but this did not give you an entry. And choosing something higher, well, you guys know me. I never look to enter right at 930. I'll wait after. So I could tell you, but truth is, this is not a trade I'm looking to take. I do have a bot that actually trades this London framework, but it does not wait for unicorns, right? It trades the pure statistical concept. But in this case, did not really give you a setup to go short. What you did have are setups to go long after, or possibly short continuations. But as I told you guys, for me, London low was reached. We were already in a discount of our current daily range. I'll draw it very quickly here just to give you guys insight, right? Right here, after taking out London low, we're trading in a discount. So from that point on, I'm looking to trade higher. And if we want to be very precise about this, I'll go back to a 15-minute here. I want to be very precise. My first discount and efficiency I'm going to be looking for is this swing low, right? So that's going to be my level where after this is met, I want to see longs, right? So going back into a 1-minute chart, let's actually remove this. Once this is met, I want to see longs, right? And this is inducement. This just tells you that we want to revisit this low. So it alleviates the need to look for longs here, but we didn't have a breaker block long anyways, a bullish breaker block in here. It's mostly once this level was met. And now, I personally did not consider this as a breaker block right here. If you go into lower time frames, you'll find a breaker in this range. Personally, that did not interest me at all. It is very wonky right there, and it is not the type of conditions I'd be looking to go in a lower time frame because I don't have a clear grasp, right? I'm looking for price to reverse after taking this out. It barely traded through it. I'm looking for some sort of depth to go through it, right? I'm looking for price to run through this level to then go higher. This is liquidity. But right after, I mean, a little while after, I believe, yeah, down here, we had a breaker block. So our first bullish breaker block of the session that we can look to trade is this one right here, right? We formed a low, we formed a high, broke the low, broke the high. This forms a bullish breaker block of this candle. And now, even though we're trading super close to this low, right? If we look at it like this, we're trading super close. You can see the SMT with ES due to the fact that we haven't taken out these lows right here on ES yet, while we have on NASDAQ. So that divergence gives me a little additional confidence. And to anyone who has taken this trade and gotten stopped out in one candle, it was a good setup. I would take this one again and again. Truth is, Trump was speaking, said a bunch of stuff, and it just leads to sideways price action. A loss is okay. You're not going to have 100% win rate. Well, at least not with the Rice trading model. So, in my opinion, this is a very good trade. I personally did not take it today because at that point, I was just waiting to, well, basically get a better setup because we were trading close to these lows. Honestly, call it intuition, I guess is the best place to put it. But sometimes I make choices that leads to me missing out on trades. So I guess I was very lucky today. I don't like to use that word, but that's truly what it is, where I didn't take that loss due to that. But if we look further, we have another breaker block that was formed right here, another bullish breaker, right? Swing low, swing high, low, well, equal lows right here, actually. So it is not technically a breaker, is the best way to put it, but equal lows on NASDAQ, so not mitigated, a little bit of a higher low here. There is no SMT, so this is not a breaker block, it is a mitigation block. I didn't want to mention it, but truth is, it would have been simpler if I didn't, because anyways, there is no entry that was given here. So there was no opportunity to enter, no retracement into a fair value gap. But I personally was looking to long in this area right here. The next breaker that formed was the one that kind of give you an entry. And that's the thing, right? Today was a little bit of a harder one because it didn't allow for much entries, right? Because right here, you'd be looking at this fair value gap, right? We formed the breaker right here. You're like, oh, okay, we retrace, we go into this fair value gap. We did not, as you can see from this line right here. We did not have that opportunity. But if we look at ES, well, I mean, we barely traded to it. So limit order would have been filled on this entry. But you guys know me. I don't trade ES. I trade NASDAQ and I use ES for divergence. So where is that entry I'm talking about? Well, inversion fair value gap include the volume imbalance. So it's a little bit of a harder one to spot. I'm guessing a lot of people probably missed it today. But truth is today, what your day should have been, and let me actually bring that back. It's just kind of in the way now. Your day should have been one loss followed by a win. And if we look 3PD array stop loss rule, right, inversion fair value gap right here, you actually do have another inversion fair value gap above, which is a bit far to consider for an entry, but does count as a PD array right here for your stop. And then you have the order block below. So you have a very, very tight stop loss here of 15 handles. And as you can see, just targeting this cluster right here, which is New York Open alongside Midnight Open in the 2 to 2.5 standard deviation, I mean, of that first breaker. But if we look at the breaker that you entered on, right, it's in between pretty much. It's 1.5. I know it's not your jam, but there was in retrospect a beautiful 15-second unicorn soon after 11 a.m. Yes, there definitely were opportunities there. It's really just a question of consistency for me. So as I explained, I was looking at this and I was looking to long this, but I want my 1 minute inefficiency. That's just how I am. It's just setting ground rules to what I'm allowed to do. And I'll never be mad for not taking a trade, for missing out, for example, because I could have made a mistake there. And instead, I just ended up flat. So that's still a good scenario. But taking too many trades is a big issue that I dealt with when I started trading. And due to that, I had to create rules around my trading that did not allow for me to go past that. So sometimes I'll go look for 30-second unicorns, but in very, very specific scenarios in volatile markets. You might notice that you didn't hear me a few months ago talking about lower than 1 minute time frame unicorns. But in very speedy markets, I will sometimes consider it. Today is not an example of a very volatile market. It was slow. It was, well, not slow. It was just normal. That's the truth. And you have a very beautiful trade opportunity here. Of course, if I was down here, maybe this move gave me 10R. Yeah, but if I trade 15-second unicorns, my win rate goes down to 30%. So my 10R is worth it. It is profitable, but it's not the kind of trader I want to be. I want to be a consistent trader. For my mental peace is the best way I can put it. Just to get back on track on these trades, hope that was pretty clear. How can I work on my 3PD array stop loss? I only count fair value gap or inversion fair value gap. You should count order blocks. Do you have a recommendation or like a YouTube video? I do not. I do not. The best way I could tell you is by going in the Rise trading model video. In one of the examples at the end of the videos, I outline the 3PD array stop loss, and you have a great example there. I'll go back to it in a second, but just to talk about objectives, this is the range that I am looking to reverse, right? This is going to be the range I'm going to be looking for targets within. The first premium inefficiency in this case was this fair value gap. And as we can see, if we go back down to the 1 minute, that fair value gap was met right here. And does that offer enough risk to reward for take profit? 100%, right? We're at 2R right there. So this would have been your first premium inefficiency, a great partial, especially since you're longing so late in the move. And by the way, just to show you, this is inversion fair value gap, Speacock, but volume imbalance, you include that as part of the gap, as we always do. Always, always, always. And it's for reasons like these. It recognizes it as part of the gap. And if I zoom in, it's probably a little easier to see. First premium inefficiency, beautiful partial objective. Now what next? Well, as I mentioned, for me, the cluster was my main objective right here. And then what do you have? Well, I don't have some clear equal highs until this point. And at this point, you also have previous week high. So for me, it was all about holding a runner. But I'm not going to lie to you guys. I fully closed at previous week high. Did not even hold a runner. Missed out on, well, I mean, 57 points. That's really not a lot. I'm more than happy to miss out on that any day of the week. Definitely. I tend to forget the IFVG entry. It's a hard one when you start off because it's like you're already looking at so many things and you're looking at the live markets. You have to remind yourself that, okay, I have my trade idea. This is what I'm trading. I'm not going to succumb to FOMO. And then, okay, here's my breaker block. But then you have to look further to the left. So it can be a little hard. It takes some practice, takes some time, but it does get easier. I see them instantly now. So if that can provide you with any sort of hope, well, it does get a lot easier the more you do it. But definitely some very, very nice price action after this point, right? We ran straight to the objective with just a little retracement at our cluster. Cluster, by the way, guys, is just a term I use when there are a bunch of statistical levels that line up. So I know we have a statistical probability of returning to that 9:30 open when it is not revisited in the first hour of trading. So if we do not revisit it after 9:30 during the first hour, this is a level. And with the probabilities of midnight opening price being so strong as well, just gives you a great, great statistical target. And then relative equal highs here alongside with previous week high are just clear draws on liquidity. When the range deviation rejects 0.5, does that mean it'll go in the opposite direction? It never means it'll go in the opposite direction, Dominic. You have to understand that trading is not something where, oh, if it does that, it'll do that. That's why I'm such a fan of probabilities, because it gives you an actual number that you can rely on, an actual number of time. Like, for example, I just talked about the midnight open. Well, I know that this move right here to return to that midnight open had over 60% chance of happening. How do I know that? Rice Statistics app, right? I've studied that framework, looking at the retracement to the midnight opening price. So because I know this, I can trust that price is going there. And I have a strategy built around targeting these levels. Now, do I have a strategy built around the probabilities of reversals? I do not. If this, then that. I can't tell you anything because I don't have the data around what you're speaking about. I don't want to talk about something I'm not. What's the word for that? Well, not familiar is not the word I'm looking for, but I don't know. That's the truth. I'm not going to talk to you about something I'm not, well, not fluent. I understand what this is. I understand what people say on the internet. I understand what people trade around range deviations and specifically the opening range deviations, but I just don't have the data to prove it. So I'm not going to take someone at its word. I'll never will. That's why Rice Statistics exists, to share that data. And range deviations are coming soon, so that can be something to look forward to if you're interested in studying that. But myself, I'm not so interested in range deviations so much. I'm not gonna lie. It is a very good framework because it can be mechanical and it is dynamic. But as I said in the Rice trading model video, I made the model around me and around my goals and what I wanted out of it. It catches every single expansion correctly. Now, will it have a 100% win rate? Of course not. But that's not what I'm looking for either. What is your strategy? It is the Rice trading model, what we outline every single time here. And I'm not going to go in depth into it because I have a 20-minute video on the YouTube channel that you can find under resources and Rice trading model here in the Discord. So if you're interested in learning what my strategy is, what my model is, you can go for it. I call it a model, but it's a strategy, it's a system, whatever the term you want to use. And you can find it detailed there with examples. And of course, these price action reviews, that's what we do, right? We look at the daily's price action and we look at the setups that were provided. See, today it would have resulted in one loss and one huge motherfucking win. I didn't have to add the motherfucking that. but I was pretty enthusiastic in adding it because it was a very good trade. To look at the PM session, are there any short opportunities? Not that I would consider. That's the truth. You guys know me. PM session, I want to look for a lunch trade, or I need a clear point of structure. For example, if we're trading inside of a daily bearish fair value gap. Now you could say look for a short after previous week high is met, 100%, but then you'd be shorting somewhere here and getting stopped out one or two times. Well, one here, I'm just looking at unsuccessful breakers, not even if they have an entries, but unsuccessful here, semi-successful, let's just call that a break even, and then successful. So would have taken a few tries, and that's usually what you'll see when you don't have a clear liquidity objective in the PM session. So that's not of any interest to me. Really, the trades this morning, exactly as outlined, very simple plan, right? We had a clear reason to be bullish whenever we expect bullish price action, and we have bullish price action intraday. You're going to wait for a retracement first. That first discount in efficiency is your retracement objective. You can look for longs after, which would have resulted into one loss, one win for total R of probably close to 8 realized. That's what I hit today. So, of course, right, partial at 2, partial at cluster, then holding on to previous week high. That gave me this, what we see as 12R here is actually 8R realized free. Still very good results for a move like that. So quite happy to be able to outline this. You know, sometimes I get these home run trades. I feel like it's not the first time I say that this week. But that's what my model is. It's consistent base hits, and there's going to be some home runs here and there. Do you guys have any questions? Maybe you guys took different trades today that you'd like to outline. I know that Value said it was a little bit of a harder day, so how can I help? I didn't prepare today, but how much time are we at? Yeah, 21 minutes. We have a few minutes to answer some questions. Be more than happy to. How many trades do you take per day on average? I'm usually just one and done, Dominic. I win my first trade a lot of the times, and I like to call it a day. But when I don't, I have a very simple rule. So I'm allowed 2 trades a day plus an extra half risk bullet. So I'll take 2 full risk trades and then a half risk trade. So for example, if let's say I risk 1% of my account per trade, my worst losing day possible is 2.5%. So I'll risk 1%. Let's say I lose, I'll risk another percent. I lose, I'll risk 0.5%. I lose, I'm done for the day. So 3 losses in a day. Sometimes when I, for example, win and lose, I'll just call it there because that's where I tend to have some psychological triggers, I guess is the best way to say. When I have a small win and then a small loss, I get triggered because I'm at break even after spending so much time, and that's where in the past I used to blow accounts. So now I just stop myself there. What do you think for tomorrow? Continuation to the highs? We could. It's a little bit unclear for me, right? Because previous week high was the main objective and that was met. So are we going to see a Friday retracement, which is what I said in the weekly outlook? Perhaps, but Friday could move quite a bit. I'm not going to be interested in trading it. You guys know me. No impact news. Not interested. Took the first short, took a break even and missed a long, but saw it 5 to 10 minutes later. Yeah, unfortunate. I myself was not looking for short, sorry, but there were some continuation opportunities here. Hard day because of my own self and impatient. Fair enough. I can't tell you anything about that. Had the right bias and we expected that, but close my chart before the big move. Well, I mean, I can't say anything about that. One thing I did forget to mention as well is we stopped trading at 11:30, right? I did want to point out that yes, this was indeed before 11:30. I noticed a comment about someone earlier on another video. Morning expansion and maybe TGIF. Who knows? You know, that's the thing, guys. I don't want to spend any of my mental space, is the term I like to use, to try and wonder what's going to happen tomorrow because I'm not going to be trading tomorrow. And I understand that's not the reality for most of you, right? You're looking to trade every day to I don't know, get more trading days, get more experience, right? Or pass some funded accounts. But that's not my reality anymore. And as much as I love helping you guys out like this and doing these PA reviews with the community, and I know it has helped some of you, maybe some of you are just here for companionship. I love doing it, but I'm not going to do it to my detriment, right? So thinking too hard about tomorrow, just not a good thing for me. But as you guys know, in the weekly outlook, I was anticipating a Wednesday reversal that would lead to Thursday continuation and Friday retracement. So I would be anticipating a bearish day going into tomorrow. If we are going to go higher, you guys know what targets we will have. Oh, let me find it. ES here, NASDAQ here. Pretty straightforward stuff there. Soon I'll be able to help with teaching others for you, boss. Oh, fuck me. Help me out, brother. No, I'm just kidding. It's really not that much work. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I love doing it, and it's something I'd have to do for my trading anyways, right? I will need to review my trades, and doing these reviews with you guys just makes them more interesting. I'm quite happy to do them. But on that note, we're gonna call it a night. I wish you all the best. Sorry for starting a few minutes late tonight. Hopefully you guys weren't waiting. Always a pleasure. You guys know we won't see each other tomorrow, so the next time we'll see each other is going to be on Sunday for our weekly outlook. If you guys have any questions, even tomorrow, feel free to tag me in chat. I'd be more than happy to talk charts. Have a great weekend, guys.